But the more this government does, the worse it is for the American people. We shouldn't be joining hands with Democrats just to show we can govern or we can get things done, no matter how harmful to the American people.
What an absolute piece of bruh. That was Representative Bob Do No Good saying the quiet part out loud, in that the American people, they don't matter to him. He thinks that passing legislation to keep the government open is equivalent to holding hands with Democrats and singing Kumbaya. And Bob Good, like any good Republican, don't work with no Democrats, even if it hurts the American people.
I would add to that, we should not fear a government shutdown. Most of what we do up here is bad anyway. Most of what we do up here hurts the American people.
Hold on, did he just admit that most of what Congress does is bad for the American people? Someone hit this man with the McConnell tranquilizer, because he needs to stop talking.
Most of the American people won't even miss if the government is shut down temporarily.
Oh, right, I forgot that basic government function is an essential, and government employees aren't people. Frozen embryos are, but average everyday bureaucrats? Bruh. They're equivalent to the status of minorities or women. But good old Bob Good here doesn't only not work with the Democrats, apparently he doesn't work well with anyone, including Republicans, because he is at the center of the Republican Civil War right now. Even while they have the House, Republicans are out here screaming, "The GOP will rise again." I don't even know who in this fray would be the Union or the Confederacy. Actually, a more apt analogy is that they are all the Confederacy, and right now the Confederacy is infighting. Take a look.
GOP Civil War that brought down a House Speaker and roiled the Republican majority, now in a red district in rural Virginia.
This is where we will make our stand.
Where the leader of the hard-right Freedom Caucus, Bob Good, has been targeted by center-right Republicans, who are pushing State Senator John McGuire's bid to knock off Good in the June primary.
Brute? I mean, seriously, guys, you booted one Speaker of the House and might oust another. You just lost Mike Gallagher, Ken Buck, and now you want to oust another member of your own party? This is an American Civil War. This is Roman Civil War, where the victor goes through and purges every single dissenter in the city. And you know what they ended up with? A dictator. But you know, these are center-right Republicans fighting against Bob not so good at politics, who is incredibly far right. So maybe it is a good thing they're trying to bring the party back to core conservative values. Let's hear them out.
Bob Good didn't come here to govern. He came here to be famous, and he came here to get Twitter followers and do all this stuff. Bob Good's wearing our jersey and he's not on the team.
All right, let me get this straight. So you don't like people who pretend to be something they're not, and who get into politics not to govern, but to get famous and gain Twitter followers. I have some really bad news for you.
As he barnstormed through his district with fellow hardliners this past week, Good said he was battling fellow Republicans who are hurting the country.
Derek Van Orden said, "You're more interested in being famous than governing." What do you say to those colleagues who are targeting you?
The people in the 5th District know who my colleagues are who are here today. They've never heard of Derek Van Orden. They could care less what Derek Van Orden thinks.
Yeah, Derek Van Orden. No one here has even heard of you, you loser. Except, of course, the people that voted you into office successfully, but aside from them, you got nothing. I swear to God, these elections are exactly the same thing for congressional Republicans as they were for Trump in 2016. A high school popularity contest. Even their behavior is exactly how you would expect a hormonal 16-year-old to respond in the same circumstances.
That question setting Good off.
For you.
More stupid question?
I just want to ask
I'm
you.
serious.
No,
you come and you ask us. Tell them to cut the camera off. I'll talk to you. I'm not going to talk to the camera right now.
You know things must be going really well for your campaign when your response to someone asking you a basic question is to pull a Karen and tell them to stop recording you.
You're making a scene.
You cannot record. This is a public building. We have policies here.
I understand that.
You cannot record people without our permission.
I just want to know if you'll vote for the motion to vacate on Speaker Johnson.
Here's my point, Lonnie. You come to these things and you ask questions that nobody here cares about.
You voted to oust the Speaker of the House.
You bring up Derek Van Orden, which is a joke, because he should come campaign for my opponent, because nobody here knows.
It's part of the criticism you're getting, that's why.
Yeah, but you don't ask me about Matt Gaetz or Chip Roy or Mark
I talked to all of them.
Or Andy
I talked to all of them.
Biggs.
Ugh, what horrible journalism. Asking the real questions about my actions, like voting to oust McCarthy as the Speaker of the House, rather than lobbing softballs about my constituents who agreed with me?
Good was one of the 8 in the GOP who voted for the unprecedented ouster of Kevin McCarthy as Speaker. Now McCarthy allies are angling to knock them off. Good's opponent, a former Navy SEAL, says he was not recruited by McCarthy.
Uh-oh, Bob. Looks like the consequences of your own actions knocking at the door there. And those consequences are coming in the shape of not only a fellow Republican, but a Navy SEAL. The base is gonna love that. Bob, I can't say this looks good.
Though he told CNN he spoke with the former speaker recently.
I believe that my opponent wants to burn it all down, no solution kind of guy.
So would you have voted to oust Kevin McCarthy?
I would have never in a million years partnered with the other party to take out our leader.
Right. One guy says he'll never work with the Democrats, but then does to take out a Republican. And the other guy says he'll never side with the Democrats, so he sides with the Republicans to take out another Republican. The choice is clear as day for Republican voters. But seriously, this convoluted mess is worse than the last season of Game of Thrones. You have one side of the Republican Party calling for unity amid a government notorious for doing absolutely nothing for the American people. And then you have hardliners like Bob Good pushing for an absolutely no compromise approach, even if it means shutting down the government and, one of Bob's favorite pastimes, screwing over the American people. So there really are no winners here, a point that is even further driven home by Bob Good's choice of who to back in the Republican primaries.
Just want to congratulate and thank Governor Ron DeSantis.
Good has to navigate another landmine, his backing of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis over Donald Trump in the primary.
Mr. Good went against President Trump early. We can do a lot better than Good. We can do great.
Bob, I hate to be the bearer of more bad news here, but it is not a good sign when your opponents start turning your name into a punchline. Just ask your friend.
Ron DeSanctimonious.
But Bob Good Not Great has tried to course correct and cozy up to Trump since then with, let's call them some mixed results.
But Good is now aligning with Trump, even stumping with Trump's former chief, Mark Meadows.
Was that a mistake to endorse DeSantis?
Why don't you get with the president? This is a time to rally behind President Trump. My opponent wants to continue to divide people based on the past.
McGuire, who met with Trump recently, says of Good,
Certainly he betrayed President Trump, and I'm a big Trump supporter.
Betrayal! We must betray the betrayer, or we shall become the betrayed. And just when you start to think, man, this cannot get any crazier, the Queen of Crazy Town chimes in.
Piling on, Marjorie Taylor Greene, a hardliner who endorsed McGuire and wrote that Good stabbed Trump in the back.
Nobody cares what Marjorie Taylor Greene says or thinks.
Finally, something we can all agree on. But even though Crazy Lady's words don't mean much of anything to people who don't speak squawking bird, she's not the only one holding those opinions. As we've already seen, many have done similar things to her, calling for both the ousting of Speaker Johnson and Bob Good. So what Bob really needs, if he doesn't want to get Julius Caesared out of office here, are some stand-up character witnesses to help him ease tensions with Trump.
I've done all I can to explain to President Trump that his agenda will be executed to its best efficacy if we have Bob Good in Congress. In primaries, people fall in love. In the general election, they fall in line.
Or I guess Matt Gaetz could do it. Not who I had in mind, but, you know, I think as far as Republicans are concerned, maybe less character is more. But to wrap things up here, this is but one of the 4 races in which Republicans are facing and trying to oust their own colleague. And just like the idea of an entire party giddily calling for the resurgence of a civil war, this too used to be taboo. But in the MAGA Republican Party, civil war is the new normal. It is the beginning of a pattern we've seen throughout history that we seem doomed to repeat, of infighting and civil unrest opening the floodgates and becoming the Rubicon River of means that authoritarian figures can coast down straight to the ends of dictatorship. But regardless of the outcome, one thing is entirely clear. Bob Good and the rest of the Republican Party will do whatever they can to serve their own self-interest,
no matter how harmful to the American people.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so Really American can update you in a timely fashion about who the next person to fall in the Republican Hunger Games is. And if you can, please consider supporting us on Patreon so we can bring you a higher quantity of higher quality content to keep you informed in this very important year. We don't just want our videos to be Bob Good when they could be Bob Great. For Really American, I'm Kenny Hesse, and I'll see you guys in the next one.